everyone, and welcome back to the Triforce podcast.
We return
with me, Lewis Brindley, the very luscious Pyrion Flax.
He's back.
And Sips.
Yeah,
How you doing?
I'm back too.
Welcome.
I'm good.
Welcome, everyone. You had a good week? You had a good time?
Oh, man, yeah. Yeah, gosh, we're really in the throes of it with the baby.
Oh man, I saw the picture you posted on Twitter. What an adorable little bubby! That really.
Oh yeah,
I showed Mrs. F. She was very happy.
She's got those big she's got big eyes, big
anime. Baby
you know,
eyes.
like their facial expressions, they don't have much control over them. So it's always like, you could like blow soft air into their face and they're like, their whole, it's really funny.
I think it's amazing because every experience is completely brand new. And because they can't remember stuff yet, it seems new every time. So it's a wonderful little existence. And then as they start to come out of their sort of baby, like pure baby phase and start to learn things and give you little looks and expressions and smile when they see you, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Oh yeah, no, she's starting to sort of do that. Like if she's had milk and stuff and she's just awake and comfortable, she'll look back at you and smile and stuff. But any other time, if she's like trying to poop, she won't, obviously. If she needs milk, she's just screaming, so she's not smiling much then either. But they're very simple. They're basic, right? But like a tremendous responsibility, and they consume just a lot of your time and effort as well. But it's worth it because then they grow 100%. Up into little people who can like farm gold for you and WoW and stuff. And I mean, it's the payoff is immense. And when
that's the
dream.
To get
there. Yeah, the dream. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they start playing Minecraft and Fortnite. And then they lose them for several years, and then they come back with their own children for you to look after. And then, the cycle continues. I saw my parents this week. I went down to, I met up with them at Tewkesbury Abbey, which is this really old parish church. It's like the oldest or the biggest parish church or something. It was basically a Benedictine monastery, a couple of hours drive out of Bristol.
Right.
And a really cool looking place. My parents obviously like walking around old churches and things and all that. And
I mean, who doesn't?
Know. It's a really interesting place. It had like at one point, obviously in like 1700s, they decided to start burying important people from the local area underneath the sort of floor in the middle of the church. And so they started putting these giant sort of gravestone slabs on the floor, and obviously they realized after doing about 10 of them that they were going to run out of space pretty quick.
Well, this is the thing, like in like Europe and stuff especially are just there's no room to bury people anymore, right? They're just like running out of space. So I think that's why in the end they were just like, let's cremate people instead. It's easier, right?
Here's a thing. In Greece, they are out of space to bury people.
Yeah.
They're out of space.
They are out of space.
They ran out.
No, they
don't have space left.
The space for burial has been consumed. So they've
eaten it.
They've eaten
What's happening?
It's
in
full
Greece?
Full of bodies already.
First they're firing it into space. Now they're eating them.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
I feel you've definitely got a handle on the situation here. That's a good summary. First of all,
I'm
they
terrified.
were firing into space. Then, but so you bury your loved one for a few years, and then you got to come and dig them up to make room for someone else to be buried there. And they give you the bits, and off you go. That's what happens.
I don't want to have anything left of me when I depart the earth, when my soul leaves.
What's it there for? Yeah, what's it there for? If you
I
believe in an
I don't want somebody to
afterlife,
find my bones or anything. Like, I just want like all traces of my physic gone. Like that's why I just turn me into ashes and then glitter cannon me over the Super X in Ottawa or something.
a glitter cannon.
Well, however they spread ashes these days. I think
at a gender reveal party they fire.
There was I saw this thing where this they were remembering.
Let's get a pinata filled with your ashes and we all smash it.
I'm pretty sure it was in England. The only reason I know it was in England is because these people they were holding up. They had like a festival outside, and it was like a celebration of life for this young guy who passed away. I'm not sure of the circumstances. I only saw the picture. But like they were holding a big banner like for the picture,
right?
And on the banner it said, "Gone but not forgotten. We're gonna really miss you, mate," or something like that. The wording's not exactly that, but it was something like that. So I was like, okay, clearly like they're they're British, and the idea was it was a celebration of life, and they glitter cannoned his ashes out of a cannon, like just onto the crowd, like
Good
just
God, that's awful.
Just to
it's
remember.
It's like the equivalent of a Viking burial, but more like a stage show.
But now you've got to get your suit dry cleaned. That's at least with the Viking burial, it all takes place out on a fjord. You shoot the flaming arrow out to light the boat up.
Yeah, and you miss like a million times as well.
Oh yeah, but that's part of the fun. I think that's part of the fun.
For hours. Yeah.
I mean, if I went to a funeral and there was archery involved, that'd be great. It's like you could wager bets. I reckon big Floor's gonna get this one, and he's like misses. Whoa, crowd has a cheer. Everyone has to take a drink. It's like a drinking game. I think that's amazing. In fact, I'd like that. And then fire an Exocet missile at the boat just to make sure. No bits. Let the fish eat me. No problemo.
I feel like that would be such a cool skill to have. Imagine, your full-time job
firing an Exocet missile
is arrow fire at like at a canoe going down a river, and you have to set it alight, and you get really good at it, and it turns out you can then sort of like hit any target. But then imagine you use those skills just day to day. Like you're never in a situation of like combat or warfare or whatever. But it's just like, oh crap, I can't get this apple out of the tree. You just like with your bow and arrow, it's like it's pretty safe, like you're not really gonna get any like hopefully no friendly fire incidents because you're so trained and good at it and stuff. I feel like that would be such an exciting existence, right?
You could turn the kettle on with an arrow, just flip the switch, change the channel.
Well,
some slugs in the garden.
I think you'd have to have like the executioner's demeanor though. You'd have to be like kind of very sour faced and miserable.
I think you'd have to read the room. It's dependent on the room. If everyone's having a great time, you can sort of, wear a fancy hat. If everyone's somber, you wear a solemn hood.
Right.
I think
you cast your eyes across the room, and it's like you're at a Ren fair, and you're like, hell yeah, time to go. You like everybody's dressed for the part to enjoy some archery, right? Like you just that's your time to shine. So all you got to do is find yourself in a room filled with people like that.
That's all you need. That. Speaking of old timey stuff. I went to see Hamlet last night.
Oh, nice.
Did you?
I went to Windsor Theatre with Mrs. F. It was our 20th anniversary yesterday.
Oh, so
congrats.
Thank you.
Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio.
Exactly.
A fellow of infinite jest.
It was Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen was in it.
What?
AKA Gandalf, for anyone out there.
AKA Ian McKellen, if there's any on cinema fans out there.
Sorry, you went. Was this at the theatre or the movies?
This is at the theatre.
You went to the theatre? Ian McKellen's doing theatre at the moment.
Yeah, he is.
That's
in Windsor.
Excellent.
But he's playing Hamlet, right? It's what they call an age-blind performance. So in other words, old people, and it's like gender blind and race blind. So you can have any actor in any role. So you got women playing men, you can have men playing women, you can have old people playing young people playing old people, and so on.
Yeah, because Hamlet is a
young man.
Character.
Yeah, he's a young man. Yeah. But obviously Ian McKellen is 82.
Man, good for him, still performing at 82.
Ian McKellen is not going to do Hamlet and not be Hamlet.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. That was my point. Is you're not going to get him to play Spearholder number 3. He needs to be Hamlet.
Or Hamlet's dad.
Right, but Hamlet's dad dies at the start of the movie. The play. Sorry to put a spoiler there. So
I haven't seen it yet.
Hamlet is not my favourite Shakespeare play.
Yet.
Yeah.
I haven't. They were probably showing it at Tewkesbury fucking Abbey.
It's good, it's good, but it's not
I'm
his
a
best.
massive commenter. I don't watch that highfalutin shit.
But I haven't been to the theatre.
I know it's been out for 500 years, so I'm getting around to it.
Oh, don't spoil it. Yeah, it's not a Netflix limited series. It's there forever. It was good. I mean, there's a lot of sayings and things that came from Shakespeare, but in Hamlet in particular, there's loads. To thine own self be true. If you ever heard that saying, that's one of
Yes.
Be yourself.
So something is rotten in the state of Denmark. That's obviously from Hamlet. Murder most foul. If you've ever heard that.
Yeah.
There's like a million. Obviously, to be or not to be. The lady doth protest too much. That's from Hamlet. Hoist with his own petard. That is as well.
Wow.
There's a million. Honestly, you could go on forever about.
Are there any more petards in there? Or is that the only one? on.
That's the limit on the petards.
That's unfortunate.
To sleep, perchance to dream.
Yeah, obviously all the famous ones from there are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than I dreamt of in your philosophy. So more things in heaven and earth. You hear people say that all the time. Brevity is the soul of wit. That's from Hamlet. One may smile and be a villain. There's like it just goes on. It goes on and on.
Yeah, if you read the Bible or you read any Shakespeare, you realise that that's where English comes from, basically, or at least the English sort of quirkiness and the sayings and these. You don't realise how packed jam full it is.
With my mind on my money and my money on my mind, and is another famous one from Hamlet as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the one of the gender-free productions as well, wasn't it? Yeah.
So there were, first of all, being in a crowd again. A theatre crowd is different from a cinema crowd, obviously.
They're older, richer, better dressed. You can see them.
They also don't know how to shut the fuck up for some reason. There was quite a few people there who just ran their mouth the whole time. So there was a lady behind us who had quite loud conversations in the middle of quite important speeches with whoever she was with. So she would say things like, you would hear her say, "Oh, he's always like that, isn't he? Oh, he's awful." And this one time, so they had one of the actors who had a very clear voice, and she said, "She's always so clear, isn't she?" That was what she said in the middle of the play at like that kind of volume, so everyone around her can hear her say to her partner, "She's always so clear, isn't she?" And it was weird.
And that obscures some of the things she said. But the great irony of
the thing is,
that.
Ian McKellen,
a completely useless thing to say.
Yeah, just completely pointless. But we all know what it meant. We're all thinking the same thing, which is you can't really hear Ian McKellen. He's actually can't project quite as well as some of the younger actors because obviously he's 82. So quite often his speeches were a little bit lost in, an old man's voice is not as virile as a younger person. So occasionally the Hamlet speeches and things like that were delivered. He delivered them with a very naturalistic kind of off-the-cuff style without the usual, step to the center stage, spotlight, oh, to be! It wasn't like
holding
that.
a skull and stuff, yeah.
But yeah, he just kind of did it as an aside quite often on the important speeches and focused more on the just the regular stuff. But you honestly were straining to hear him quite often. So that was not only her commenting on how well one actor projected, but by implication how poorly Ian McKellen was doing. But then when he did the to be or not to be speech, this guy behind me finished the speech, like did the next line, and was obviously very pleased with himself. So Ian McKellen goes, "To be or not to be?" And the guy behind me goes, "That is the question." Yeah. And I was like, well done, mate. You're patting yourself on the back for knowing the most famous speech probably in the English language. Shut up. Why are you talking?
Like that,
Why are you talking? But he was like so pleased with himself that he knew the next line to the most famous
Was he with somebody? Like, was he trying to
He was just talking to himself. Dude was just talking to himself.
Man, that's even worse.
He was like an old dude.
It's like a guy who knows one of the quiz answers on University Challenge and like was patting himself on the back all day for it. Oh, yeah, I answered one of the questions. So I just noticed there's Isaac Asimov wrote a guide to Shakespeare, and one of the things he said was there's a story about a woman who read Hamlet for the first time and said, "I don't know why people admire this play so much. It is nothing but a bunch of quotations glued together."
Right.
That's good. So interesting.
Yeah, that is
so
funny.
Yes, Hamlet's really, really cool. I all of them are, and I think a lot of people, like you said, nowadays deliver them in a more because actually the English is quite thick.
It is. It
and
is
hard
quite
to
hard
read
to
in
understand.
places.
It is quite hard to understand.
I think a lot of people tried and modernize the text a little bit, or at least in their delivery.
Yeah,
I think a good actor, like I've noticed. Good actors can make comprehension out of bad script. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying Shakespeare is bad, but I think if you just read it, you wouldn't understand it.
They try to modernize it sometimes. I feel like if they did nowadays, it would just be a total mess. To kick W or to not kick W. This is just be filled with stupid internet words and terms and stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
You
I love that. It needs emojis in it.
Needs some emojis.
It would pause for like TikTok like emojis to come up on the screen.
Some cummies and stuff.
There'd be like that face with the teeth, like that one.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be on there a bunch of times when someone got stabbed. It would be like oh. Yeah, it would just be
trying to think of a quote. Trying to think of that line that time. No, it would be. I don't know if they can do it. I think it's gone. It's too old now, right? It's now people just want to watch.
It'll come back round. It's been cycling around for the last 500 years. People just want to watch
like anime and stuff nowadays, right? Like that's.
I think
it's become the new.
People. I mean, there's always some Shakespearean movie or remake. Some of them are, bonkers. Back in the 70s, where they'd turn into a rock opera halfway through or something. Do you know what I mean? And they've always rebooted these things in weird ways. There'll be it's like Sherlock. How many times has that been rebooted in different formats? Robert Downey Jr. did some movies on it.
Yeah,
I think it's no different here. I think the stories are. I think even now a lot of people don't know a lot of these Shakespeare stories, and if you read the plot to them in a couple of sentences, they wouldn't recognize it, and probably I wouldn't either. Because it's been so long since I was forced to study this stuff at school. Because everyone
I don't know. I can't remember at school if we did much Shakespeare. I think I think you could take like sort of an advanced English class, like when you got to the point in school where you could pick what classes and what credits you needed, sort of thing. But I never did.
What historical? Because Americans and Canadians do other literature, don't they?
Yeah, I remember like in English
or something.
We read like like Of Mice and Men, and what's the other one with Boo Radley? Or maybe that's the same one. Remember that one with Boo Radley? I can't remember.
Yeah.
To Kill a Mockingbird. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah,
great book.
And Catcher in the Rye was another one that we had to read at school.
Yeah, I mean these are all
classics,
so interesting.
Right? But like I don't know if we did much like Shakespeare. Like I said, I think you could do it, but I never did because I was.
I did. I guess it's definitely more of an English thing.
Probably
that we're expected to do that. So no, Shakespeare Abbey was really, really interesting. Just walking around this, it's almost like we've just casually got this 1,000-year-old building just hanging out nearby. Do you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of English people are like that they've got. Yeah. They're just, you just walk down the road and there's a guy knocking down a shed in his garden that's 350 years old or whatever. Like, for example, with Shakespeare Abbey, there's a 1,000-year-old tree as well that was planted at the time of the Abbey. And it's this absolutely enormous trunk, it's because I think trees just keep growing or something, or they grow to the size of their pot.
I think if you want a miniature tree, you just stick it in like a good hard terracotta pot, and it will, once its roots get to a certain point, it obviously thinks, oh, there's no point getting any bigger, and just sort of stops.
Yeah,
I think.
And so I think if you've planted it in the earth, it can grow to the size of the earth. I think that's how it works.
It gets as big as it, and then a storm or whatever will knock it over, or they get sick, eventually.
Yeah, they get big to the point of they fall over.
I mean, oddly enough, I went to Kew Gardens yesterday, and there's a tree there that was planted in 1760.
Have you spent any time at home recently, Flax? Like, jeez.
No, yesterday was a busy day. Went to Kew Gardens. Out? Yeah, went to the theatre, but today I don't intend to leave the house. That's how that goes.
That's nice. Yeah.
And the day before that, I don't think I left the house either. But yeah, it's an odd one. But yeah, so this tree was planted in the middle, of the 18th century, and it's still going, but only a bit of it. So the rest of it fell over, and just a branch. Yeah. But they replanted the branch, and it cracked on, like it just carried on growing somehow. And yeah, it's odd. Trees are incredible, really. You can take a clipping from some and just stick it in the ground; it'll keep going. There's a tree in Marble Hill that's I think it's about 300 years old. It's just they've helped it out because the branches get so long and heavy that they sort of have to tie metal sort of lines around the long branches and tether those to the trunk to stop the poor thing falling over. So I guess it's and there were cactuses in Kew Gardens that were fucking massive, and they'd had to do the same. It had some big branch that they'd had to tether to itself because it just
gets to the point where these are just so old they're basically we have to just cyborg them or
they fall over. Yeah, I mean obviously
give them like a crutch,
right?
Like an old man
in the wild it would just fall, that bit would just fall off. And I guess
but we're here to help
support. And it's beautiful and it's old, so let's help preserve it. But trees live a long time and then they die. That's pretty much the way it goes. But sometimes you can I mean there are creosote bushes. I think creosote bushes someone will fucking correct me. I think they're one of the longest living organisms. I think there's some that are like thousands of years old or something.
Man, they're great. A great looking bush as well. I used them a lot in Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo as well. They look fantastic. Great coverage. Yeah, they're just a good size. You know, you can kind of fit them in alongside rocks and other trees and stuff. Really nice. Really nice.
I love that little. So I heard. One of the things I remember recently was in the Olympic opening ceremony, they made these big wooden rings, and they were made out of trees that were sown in the previous Tokyo Olympics. Right. So they sowed loads of seeds, grew some trees, and then cut some of them down to make these parts of the ceremony and the rings and stuff. And then they planted more trees for next time, I guess, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think, there's a lot of like that sort of stuff going on. I saw that in Japan a lot. Like when I went to Japan, a lot of the places that you visit, you're like, wow, this is amazing. And then it's like, this was rebuilt in 2004 because it burned down, because most of them were made out of wood. And you read these little plaques that they've got, and they've got, this was originally built in 1350 and it burned down in 1360. They constantly, like, they were rebuilding and rebuilding. And the same thing happened with this abbey. Originally it had this wooden roof that eventually either got burnt down or collapsed or something, and it was replaced by some
there's lots of places like that in Europe too that were
any buildings
pummeled into the ground during World War II and rebuilt
1,000 years on, though, were old 900 years ago, and then someone loved them, right, and rebuilt the roof, and then 100 years later they were even older, and this is still 800 years ago, and someone else spent a huge amount of money to keep it going somehow. Do you know what I mean? And even now, I'm sure, because I think it was originally a monastery, and then the Queen had some sort of fund at some point and bought it off of them. And then there was a thing during the War of the Roses where some men were hiding from a nearby battle. There was a Battle of Tewkesbury, I think, in the War of the Roses. And then some people fled there, and then they were all killed in the monastery. I can't remember. There was some disaster that happened there. And when you have something that's that old and obviously a huge landmark, it's going to be involved in things like the fucking War of the Roses, which seems like this kind of fictional event, it was like before, I think it was before the English Civil War in like 1470 or something. And it's kind of the part of history which was heavily inspired Game of Thrones and stuff like this. It's kind of
families having a
squabbling noblemen living in a realm where there were very few privileged individuals. It was mostly peasants and kings. There wasn't really much of a middle class. And also, I think it was sort of before we'd really gone and really explored the world very much. I think after this sort of time, the age of colonialism started happening, and then we started, fucking around on the rest of the world.
Well, the tail end of the 15th century. So I think it was, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, isn't it? So that was when he went off.
That's a Shakespeare quote, actually.
But I think there was a lot of stuff that happened before Columbus, though, as well, right? Columbus was kind of he's kind of known
and stuff, but
there were a lot of expeditions before Columbus, but Columbus is, I think, just for whatever reason became the most known or the most popular. But like a lot of discoveries were made prior to him.
I wonder, I haven't read it. There must be loads of biographies and books about him, but I wonder if he just had, in my head, he's just a ballsy guy who's like, I'm just gonna fucking sail this way and hope that I, don't run out of food before we get to land. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think we have a vision. Obviously, just a little caveat here. Paul Harrell style. We don't know, all right? We're not experts in history. I'm confident in saying that none of the three of us really know a huge amount about Columbus. Are we comfortable with that statement, lads?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, you can apply that to almost anything we talk about.
Exactly, you could apply that to almost anything.
I think in my head, though, I have uneducated opinions about stuff that I just
still
sort of
think
feel
about
is...
stuff, I mean, geez, what, we're not allowed to think about it unless we've written a thesis and it's been peer-reviewed? Fuck off. We're talking about Columbus.
I haven't even looked him up on the... I've not done any...
I know a little bit about the guy. I think he was he Italian, right?
I got the same first name as him, so I'm pretty much soulmates with the guy. So,
And the Spanish Queen sent him off with some money and said, go and fucking find a route to China, and he did, and they thought, he was India. It was India, and that's why they called it the West Indies, because he thought it was India or something like that. These might be apocryphal, but
and
so I mean, there's a huge amount of stuff written about Columbus, good guy, bad guy stuff. Who knows? Yeah. But it's bizarre to think that we had been in Europe for thousands of years, and North Africa and the Middle East, that hub of what we see as civilization. But the rest of the world, obviously China was getting on with things. They had a whole bunch of stuff going on over there. India as well.
Yeah, I know that they were aware that the Earth was round.
They knew that.
Something that it was something that they
how wrong they were.
No one.
Thankfully, once YouTube came along,
it just shows how stupid they were back then.
We discovered, the thousands of years of sheeple believing that the Earth was round, thanks to some.
It's weird though. I think recently the flat Earth idiots have been replaced by the anti-vax idiots.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the new idiot thing to have.
See, that's the thing with it. People always say to me when I get angry about flat earthers and stuff is, what do you care? They just believe something harmless. This is like a gateway drug to genuine anti-civilization lunacy. Like people pumping worming tablets into their body because they think that'll protect them. Why would you take a tablet meant for a fucking horse and sheep
and
not a vaccine?
It's honestly, it's not even worth discussing.
It's not.
Leave them to
100%.
it. Let them do it.
No.
But you say that. But if that's the attitude, these people become politicians and senators, and they say, we demand that ivermectin be treated in the same way because it's our right to have our opinion heard. But that is bad.
Consume
we need to
all.
have some kind of, please have some truth. I'm just saying, let's bring it back to some truth.
Darwinism, though, isn't it? It's finally come round to them actually these anti-vaxxers. One of the things I read, which was amazing, is that they now think that everyone who's vaccinated is causing the virus to become like MRSA, like a superbug, like a super virus. So because you've been vaccinated, you're creating this super virus, right? And and then they're still saying, well, I'm not getting vaccinated. It's like, well, there's now a super virus. Like, definitely get yourself vaccinated now.
But when they end up in hospital, there's all these, there's a Reddit subreddit, and there's a bunch of Twitter accounts that post social media posts of people. This is very tragic. It's not funny. Like, that's the thing. But these are people who posted, I ain't getting no fucking virus. This is all a big hoax. You guys, you sheep have had the wool pulled over your eyes. Followed by, everybody please pray for me. I've got the Rona and it's super bad and I'm probably going to die. And then a post from a loved one saying, we lost them. Like, this is happening. So I have no problem with people thinking the Earth is flat, really. I think they're fucking idiots. Please don't ever, think otherwise. But it's not a dangerous belief the way anti-vaxxers is a genuinely dangerous, deadly belief to hold. And it's being perpetrated by arseholes, and it really fucking annoys me. So,
it's being perpetrated by a lot of people who probably themselves are vaccinated as well. Like a lot of the people,
all those guys at Fox are fucking vaccinated.
The big high ups and stuff. Of course, they're going to be vaccinated. Like they're not that stupid, but they still. They're telling people what they want to hear in a lot of ways. It's like it's point scoring, right?
I just don't understand when this happened. There's going to be a book in it somewhere about what was the tipping point in people abandoning sanity and reason and just saying, yeah, that's it. We're just going to take sheep deworming tablets because we don't trust the vaccine. We just trust this off-the-shelf drug that treats animals. We're going to take that. What is going on? Who are these people influencing people to that degree that they have abandoned reason and they're going to take this? I don't get it.
Anyway, so Columbus knew that the world was round, but he thought the distance from Spain to, I think actually it was like Africa to Japan, was about, I think he thought it was a quarter of what it actually is.
Yeah. They didn't know the distances yet.
So would there have just been an ocean there? Obviously, like a giant mega Pacific Atlantic Ocean, which isn't impossible. I mean, I'm not saying the world is one generated in civilization, but on a different planet.
What, we're like a Pangea?
On a different planet with a Pangea, he would have still been going. Probably now.
To this day, just going round and round.
No.
I mean, they already knew about places like, they knew anything that was connected by land. If you think about it, we had the Silk Road. We knew these people came from fucking miles away. We were like, wow, look at these animals. These people had camels and shit. We were like, wow. They brought all kinds of things that we didn't have. And I think they must have thought, like, they were looking for another route round there that didn't involve schlepping all the way around Africa and then all the way around India to get to China. They thought, what if the China's got sea on its right, right? When you look at it, China, there's sea there. Where does that go? What if we go left? We'll come onto their right side, easy peasy. We'll go west and we'll go to the east. Simple. And then they bumped into this other gigantic landmass that is the Americas, and they were like, oh shit, and there's fucking people here already. How mind-blowing that must have been to realize. Yeah. I mean, that really is the equivalent to us finding alien life on another planet. That's how crazy that would be. You'd be like, there's another fucking continent with people living on it, and they've got buildings and stuff. What the fuck? Like, that's crazy. How quickly can we kill them all and take their land? That was their first instinct. Which is
how much gold do they have?
Yeah. Understandable. I mean, when somebody has something that I don't have and I want, I'm killing them. Like, no hesitation.
Sorry, if this was Civ, happening. You'd see they've still got spearmen. They've still got spearmen, lads. We've got frigates. They're
go. Barbarians. Yeah, they're red to us.
Look at all these goodie huts. We can get the goodie.
Yeah, I've got an achievement to unlock here by conquering this man. So I'm going for it.
Do you guys remember Colonization, the one set around the American Civil War? If you went and you could go and dig up the Incan treasures, and you'd have these giant wagons of gold that you had to take back, whack them on a galleon, and ship them back to Europe. Man, I loved that game. That was such a good game.
It was such a good one, wasn't it? Yeah. They did a remake of it, which wasn't terrible either. Yeah.
But the remake didn't have the same. There was something about it. The original. I just want the original. With the graphics for it was so good. Like the way the cigars looked. The way the soldiers looked, the way the ships looked was so
classic
perfect.
Pixel art.
Yeah.
Stuff.
And the music was really good too.
Yeah, it was great.
Me and Ben did a playthrough of it, and we really enjoyed it.
Does it still hold up?
Yeah, hella does.
Hella
does. Look it up. There's some Ben's Colonization. There you go. You'll find it. Anyway, I wanted to tell you something that happened to me. Two things happened to me actually that were weird. So one thing that happened was, I was walking to the train station.
Yeah.
I'm not dawdling. I don't walk slowly or anything. But there was a man who was obviously in more of a hurry than me, and he sort of power walked past me as if to overtake. And obviously I didn't see him there, and so I was at that time I happened to swerve to the right, and obviously we collided in the street.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Right.
Then I sort of turned around and was like, oh sorry. And he was like, look where you're going. And I was like, I don't have any wing mirrors. That's what I said to him. because it was like I was driving a car and he'd hit me from behind, right? And it was clearly his fault, right?
If you get rear-ended in any way, it's almost impossible for it to be your fault. That's the way insurance companies treat it, which is why people do that thing where they reverse into parked cars. Because if you go to the insurance company and say, you just drove into the back of me, they're like, yep. And fair enough. That's why people have the cameras. I've got a camera because people do the crash for cash. My mum's always warning me about it because she watches all those fucking daytime TV shows. And they reverse into you and then get out and say, oh, you crashed into the back of me. And you're like, no, you reversed into me. And they're like, no, I didn't. And it's impossible when you go to the insurance company for you to prove
unless you got a dash cam.
You have to have a dash cam nowadays for sure.
You gotta have the dash cam, folks. Come on.
Get your dash cams out. Come on.
That's one of the common things that happens on the dash cams exposed YouTube things that I very occasionally watch.
Nice.
But no, I mean, I don't have wing mirrors. I just sort of said that to him, and he just sort of looked at me like I was an idiot and just sort of walked off ahead of me. And I sort of followed him to the train station, sort of slowly dropping back as I went because I didn't want to confront him again. Yeah. But yeah, that was weird. And then on the train, I took the train there, all fine. I had a mask and stuff. But I noticed that the train conductor, the train inspector, the ticket inspector weren't wearing masks. So I was like, oh, I guess I don't need a mask, right? So on the way back, I'd actually somehow lost my mask, of course, because this is what happens. But I thought, it doesn't matter. I don't need a mask. No one on the train is wearing a mask. It's fine. The actual staff are wearing masks. I'm not going to get into trouble.
Right.
So felt a bit bad about it, but not that bad. Anyway, I got on the train. It was all full. I walked down the end and I saw there were some empty seats, but there was 10 empty seats, but they were all just there was a train conductor there without a mask who said, oh, you can't sit on these seats. They're reserved. I was like, sure, whatever. So but of course there weren't any other seats. So there was a random woman there who didn't have anything sat next to her. So I sat down next to her and she turned to me and said, do you have a mask? And I said, no, I don't. Sorry. and she sort of grumpily looked at me and sort of mumbled some things. I didn't hear what she said, but she was obviously really grumpy and really mad about it. Okay, so I sat like as far away from her as was comfortable on the seat. Anyway, I sort of forgot about it. And then we got to the first stop, which was only about 5 minutes.
Right.
And got her bag up and went to stand up. So I stood up and I stood in the corridor, and she stood up and then sat back down again and put her bag down next to her.
Right.
What?
On the seat. So it was this whole passive-aggressive move.
Well, she stood up to get you to stand up so she could put a... So you were sitting next to her, and she basically stole your seat.
And she passively-aggressively stood up, pushed me out of her seat, and then sat back down.
Incredible.
She knew that I would make way for her
That's
to get
incredible.
out.
That is such a power move. That really is remarkable.
I was half impressed and half stunned at this move, right? So then I had to, ask someone else to move their bag so I could sit down next to them, because I'm not going back to that same woman.
I don't know how people leave their house and give a shit. You know what I mean? Like
I was just amazed.
I don't know how
that.
people leave their house and confront people that they don't know. You know what I mean? Like I try to avoid speaking to anybody. Like if I absolutely have to speak to somebody, I will, like to pay for something or if I need help finding something or whatever. But if somebody's doing something stupid, I just fucking walk away. Like I'm not going to be like engaging on any level. I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to be passive aggressive with them. Nothing. Like it's just like I'm out of there. I don't get how people can be bothered to invite drama like that into their life. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what they get from it other than probably some feeling of like shitty or well, maybe it makes them feel good. I don't know. It's so bizarre.
I don't know. But I was obviously mostly impressed, but slightly, I don't know, I just felt
you should have just saluted. You just done
because it was my like second
salute.
Confrontation
Well
of the day.
played,
I think if that had happened on the other way,
you have bested me.
Here's a medal.
Holy shit, man. That is a powerful move, though. It's true.
I could understand why people have got their own motivation.
Do you reckon she came up with that on the spot, or do you reckon that she was planning it? She's thinking, how can I get this guy to move without confronting him in a direct way, and also kind of having an impressive flex of nicking his seat in his face, but getting him to essentially volunteer it? I wonder if she stood up thinking, is this my stop? And then when you stood up, she thought, oh, thank God he's getting off. She thought, this isn't my stop.
No, it was very deliberate. It was the whole process of gathering up the stuff, putting it all away,
Amazing.
It was the whole process, yeah.
But had she pulled this before? Is there
maybe
some
this is like
forum somewhere where people
like the
come
Wet
up
Bandits?
with ways?
This is like her calling card. Like she does this to lots of people.
Yeah, I reckon it was like an old person email chain. Do you know what I mean? They'd had it go round how to get how to get your seat back on the train. It looked practiced. It looked expertly done.
Yeah,
she did it with the confidence of a veteran swindler.
That's incredible.
Man, I saw this video of a guy. It's like I think it was on the subreddit like people dying inside or something like that, and it was a video of a guy. He's holding like a yellow blanket and bouncing it like you would like a newborn, right? Like he bouncing this blanket in his arms, and he was like on a pretty busy what looked like a subway car, and some dude stood up to let him sit down, and the guy sits down, and it's just like it's not a baby, it's just a sweater. Like he sits down, he's got this look on his face like, oh hell yeah, I'm sitting down, but like it was just his sweater, and the guy who stands up, like the footage goes to his face, and he's just like, what the fuck? Like he just looks like quite annoyed about it, but also I don't know, maybe maybe a little bit like Lewis's experience.
My face.
It was like he was annoyed, but like I feel like maybe he was a little bit like, wow, what a move as well at the same time. Because like he had the motions. Like it looked like he was like, soothing a baby like in his arms, but he wasn't. He was just doing it to get a seat. It was pretty funny.
Genius.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought
that's what you need. These like it's like unethical
less interesting than I thought it would be.
You need to know these things.
It happens.
Squirrel, don't tell that to that woman though, because she'll start bringing a bundled up jumper on the train.
That's right. Yeah,
it's gonna it's going to get out there.
Yeah.
It's not cool, dude.
I've been playing Blood Bowl pretty much all week.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird game. There are certain games that I find if I'm streaming them or if I'm playing them, like someone in chat put it really well. They said that for 11 months of the year, I say it's the worst game ever and I hate it and I'm never playing it again. And then I'll reinstall it out of some moment of madness and be addicted again for another month, and then I'll hit my limit and uninstall it and rage quit and shout. That's pretty much my relationship with Blood Bowl.
I think you have to have a couple of games like that in your life, honestly.
Yeah,
like,
it's exactly, a good balance. Yeah, it is. But now we've set up this league where Munticus on my Discord set up this league for people on the Discord to basically play Blood Bowl against each other, and me and him are going to cast the games. We're going to commentate on the games like American football style. I thought about 8 people would sign up, and like 40 plus people decided to sign up. So this is going to fucking go on forever. And I've realized now I'm stuck now with Blood Bowl for the foreseeable. Like, I thought I'd just play it for a few weeks and then be done, like this guy said in chat.
Yeah.
But now I realize I've got an albatross around my neck and it's Blood Bowl. And Blood Bowl 3's coming out soon. I'm going to fucking play that as well. So I thought I was just dipping my toe in, but instead I've fallen into a giant trap.
I've done the exact same thing, pretty much. I started playing Final Fantasy 14.
Just go. Get your head under the water.
To just go for it here.
I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, just take your clothes off.
Dive in.
Just swim.
Listen, I started a guild.
Swim for your goddamn life. You might find America one day. Go for it.
I started a guild in this game because my character is called Old Hogan, and I'm doing a Hulk Hogan cosplay. Like, I've got the wrestling undies and the bandana and the boots and everything.
I saw a clip of someone made an actual Hulk Hogan in the game, young Hogan or whatever.
Yeah, so anyway, we made a
Hogan.
guild, and a whole bunch of Hogans have joined. So there's like Hollywood Hogan, there's Primetime Hogan, Young Hogan, like there's a whole bunch of different Hogans. And then we've also opened it up for like other wrestlers, like Ric Flair joined yesterday and stuff. But yesterday I was accepting some applications. There's like over 100 people in the guild now. So it's like, I guess I'm just playing this for a while because people are like picking it up and playing it and joining the guild and doing their cosplays and stuff. And it's not one of those ones that you can just sort of drop and leave everyone in the lurch, even though we've done it like a million times with WoW guilds and stuff like that. But
have you got Macho Man Randy Savage?
Well, okay, so the way that the auction house works in this game is like, in WoW, you just have stuff in your inventory and you just post it up on the auction house and away you go. In this game, you have like retainers. They're like valets. They're characters that you summon, and you can send them away on little missions and stuff as well. But you give them the items and then they run to the market and sell them for you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So and you can customize all of them. So I made you get 2 retainers, and then if you want to have more than 2 retainers, you pay to have more. So you can have like up to 9 if you're very serious about all this stuff. But you get 2 for free, and it's more than enough, sort of thing. And so I made Razor Ramon, Chico, and The Undertaker. So, and that's their names when they're posting stuff up on the auction house. So like people are now buying stuff off of Razor Ramon and
have you not got
The Undertaker.
Macho Man Randy Savage in there? He was the best.
Yeah, well, because I'm gonna probably get the other retainers. You can get married in this game as well. So I'm trying to get somebody to create an Elizabeth character so that the Hulkster and Elizabeth can get married, and hopefully somebody joins the guild as Macho Man Randy Savage and can be the best man at the wedding as well.
Or like they could do the service. Do you, Hulk Hogan, teach Elizabeth to be your lawful wedding wife?
Yeah, it
the
is
cream of the crop.
It is fun. It's been fun for sure. It's such an odd game, but it's a weird one because I was thinking about, because I've been playing it, and I was thinking about this game compared to WoW. This game has a lot of the stuff that WoW has. It has like the end game rating, it has dungeons, it has gear and stuff like that. But there's so much to do that most of the people I know who play it aren't even max level. Like, you could just do so much stuff along the way, and people get into the stuff along the way that there's no burning desire for people to just hit max level and do all of the hard stuff. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these professions, crafting, there's an economy, like there's all sorts of stuff that you can get really stuck into that you don't need to be max level for. And it just makes me think it's just such a shame the way that WoW's gone, because it could have been
I think it's a real shame that this popular MMO that looks like it's got a lot to it is for fucking weebs. That's what annoys me.
There's a big that is a big component of it as well.
I'm just looking at a stream right now.
You can choose to partake, though. I mean, that's the thing. You don't have to be a big weeb. You can really? my guy looks like really like hunky, but not like anime hunky. Like he looks like 1980s hunky. You know, he's got the mustache and he's got the big muscles, but like they're the world's strongest men muscles, you know. They look like they work at, you know, like in a junkyard or something, you know. It's those kind of muscles.
Okay.
Not like
authentic,
like the Schwarzenegger like the gym 12 hours a day muscles, you know. They're not
roofer muscles.
Yeah, it's like roofer muscles. Yeah, that's
I'm just looking at some of these Final Fantasy streamers, and they are just the biggest fucking weebs ever.
Right. Well.
Yeah. Well,
like half of them.
It is a big part of it. Like I said,
VTubers who have replaced their avatar
they have to stand out somehow.
Really? Does that stand out? Given that there's like a million of these despicable human beings out there now.
Well, I mean, you can't pigeonhole an entire genre like that, P-Flex. There's lots of people
and I will.
He's doing it.
There's lots of people. We can't put them all on a ship and ship them off to preach their beliefs in a different continent anymore. We got to live with them now. You know,
I don't.
We can't expel them. We can't, you know, and execute them in the abbey. We have to live with them and work alongside them. These weird anime-loving folks. I mean,
folks.
I couldn't get into it because of the game. The setting didn't bother me, actually. The Final Fantasy setting. I think there's a lot worse anime games and settings out there, and I think Final Fantasy is quite light and always part of my childhood as well. I really enjoyed the Final Fantasy games growing up. So yeah, as far as it goes, I think it's a fairly good one. And I think it's a lot of fun to get into an MMO. It feels like you are diving into a world that is large and it's fun to explore with lots to do.
Yes,
in ways like Skyrim, you know, discovering that world for the first time, or some of these things. You know, they're having. I guess MMOs are the open world games these days to some extent, because there is a lot of choice on your direction, and you're not just repeating the same thing over and over again, or starting again. You know, a lot of these roguelike games where you're basically just trying to do the same thing with a different skill, or trying to do the same thing a bit better. It is that in MMOs. Of course, you're doing the same quests in different locations, etc. But it's a bit of everything. And I don't know, I can see why people like it. Certainly everyone in Yogs is enjoying Final Fantasy at the moment. Are you playing with Rythian or anyone?
Yeah, I'm playing with all those guys. Yeah, just I'm just doing my own thing though, which is kind of nice too. You know, like you don't have to. The group sizes are smaller. The requirements are smaller. You can do anything. So like as long as you're up for leveling something up, you can be any class, and there's tons of different classes, and you just swap between which one you feel like playing that day. You don't have to roll an alt if you don't want to and stuff. It just does a lot of really nice quality of life stuff, and you can tell that they've just studied the genre a lot over the years, and there's just a lot of really nice systems in it.
My top pick, by the way, from this week is 12 Minutes, which has got Daisy Ridley and James McAvoy. And William Dafoe.
I've heard some people talking about that, saying it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's like a Groundhog Day sort of 12-minute time loop story thing.
Yeah.
It's not very long, but it's really kind of gripping for the first few hours. And I recommend you check it out. Like honestly, these games, I love like these Annapurna narrative short form story games where it's like watching a cool movie, but you know that's what it's a pure game.
I think I prefer Annapurna.
Can I just drop a little crazy piece of trivia that
check out 12 Minutes. Just shouting out to everyone.
All right, listen to this.
It's actually worth it.
You know Daryl Hannah? The actor Daryl Hannah.
Yeah.
She's married to Neil Young.
No way.
I had no idea.
That's nuts.
Well,
that blows my mind. She's also famous. He is 75. She's 60. Yeah. They got married 3 years ago. When did this happen? Well, obviously that happened 3 years ago. But I'm saying, what? In what world is that a? I'm blown away.
I guess they were both.
Guess he found his heart of gold.
They must have had.
Keep searching for a heart of gold. And I'm
assuming
very old.
They've been through many relationships in their lives, you know.
And they finally settled on the grumpy I believe irascible would be a word for Neil Young. He's never struck me as much fun, Neil Young. He's a grumpy, serious man.
Yeah.
And Daryl Hannah has married him. I'm just intrigued by that relationship.
I reckon Daryl Hannah could marry someone 20 years younger than her and be fine. No one would worry about that. She's gorgeous and famous, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you like who you like, right? It's like, you know.
The heart wants what the heart wants. That's probably fucking Shakespeare as well. Let's have the heart.
The heart wants what the heart wants.
I know, it's a song by Selena Gomez, apparently. I didn't believe that's correct.
Close. Pretty close.
Well, the modern day Shakespeare.
Emily Dickinson wrote, "The heart wants what it wants, or else it does not care." So there you go.
Other than that, though, I haven't really been doing much. This week has been just lots of dad stuff. The kids are back to school next week, which is great. Actually, it's good that they're going back to school. They've had 6 weeks off over the summer, which has been nice with the baby and stuff, but it'll be good to get more of a routine going with them going back to school and everything. So we've just been doing lots of shit around that, buying new shoes. I had to get like a PE kit sorted out and new uniform bits and pieces that they've grown out of and stuff like that. Because like when they're small, they still grow a lot, right?
Yeah, so, God.
Constant
the stream of school uniform that you have to deal with is unbelievable.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but my kids will wear something once and then throw it in the wash, regardless of what that item
I mean,
of
my kids have
is.
to. They come home from school and it looks like they've just been
school
let
clothes
loose in a chicken coop all day or something.
Exactly.
They got crap all over them. It's nuts.
I mean, I am absolutely on board with all your school clothes. When you get home, boom, in they go. Unless, like, if it's trousers or something, have you got schmutz on them? Could you wear them again? Yes, that'll do. But anything that's got stuff on it, they've always got like food on the collar, spilled some paint on the front. But now, like, my oldest is at secondary school. She's starting year 8. My youngest is in year 5. So they're not at the covered in glue and sparkles stage of school. You know, it's not quite the same. A cardigan, you wore it once, you took it off as soon as you got to school. That doesn't need to go in the wash, but it does. But then at the weekends, they'll have 3 costume changes, and every time they take stuff off, they don't put it back in the cupboard, straight in the wash. So when they went away to stay with my mum for a couple of weeks, there was like 1 load of laundry that me and Mrs. F needed to do that whole week. 1 load. And that was it. Job done.
You had this like nagging fear that you hadn't done something.
Yes, the whole time. I was like, I've forgotten something.
What? There's something we need to do. It's weird. It's weirdly quiet in here. There's not the humming of the washing machine on.
It is
constantly.
strange.
No, yeah.
But my mum is really struggling with differences between kids in 2021 and I guess the way I was raised in the 70s. And early 80s. So, for example, she really lost her shit yesterday because when my kids were eating dinner, and when my eldest had finished, she got up and went off and did something else. And she was like, "That is the height of bad manners. How dare you get up from the dinner table while the other person is still eating?" What she doesn't understand is my eldest eats at a normal pace. My youngest eats at a snail's pace. Like, you would be there all evening waiting for her to finish her dinner. I'm not going to expect my daughter to sit there just because her sister's eating. What if this isn't some fucking religious ceremony? This isn't a formal meal at some fancy restaurant. They're having dinner after a busy day. Let her fucking get up and walk around. Who cares? My mum was like, well, you know, this is the problem. This is the problem these days. As if you could tie the entire collapse of civilization down to the fact that some people don't sit down until everyone's finished eating. Fuck off.
I mean, both of mine.
God,
if like normal food, oh my God, it's just like it's such an endeavor to get them to eat. Like, if you put like a plate of cookies in front of them, it's gone. Like there's like fucking sparks coming off of the plate.
I've noticed this as well.
But then if you give them normal food, it's just like you're just constant. It's like all of a sudden, like every fucking thing in the entire universe is so interesting and it has to be spoken about at that moment in great detail. And you're like, we're not talking about that fucking speck of dust to the left of your plate for 3 hours. Eat.
And also,
let's move on.
For the last hour, you've been saying, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Gave you your dinner, you've had 1 bite, and now you want to go do something else. Sit down and eat your fucking dinner. And here's the thing, as soon as it's gone, you can go do what you like. Yeah. That's the best part about it, is that when you've eaten, which is something you want and need, You are free to do what you want to do.
The other one I love as well is right before bedtime is when all of a sudden, like, I want to make a papier-mâché of the entire World Trade Center circa 1960, and maybe a life-size replica made of paper of New York City as well to complement it. It's like, you're going to bed in 5 minutes. You know what? When you wake up in the morning, do that all day long until you're blue in the face. I don't give a shit. 5 minutes before bed, brush your fucking teeth. Let's go.
Oh my God.
What is the hold up here? Every night.
The toothbrushing drives me mad. The other night, I started streaming at 8. The kids were going up to brush their teeth at 8. They generally go and chat and play in their room until about 10. It's hard to get them to go to sleep these days. And I said to them, right, in you go. And then I can see them both in the bathroom. One of them is holding a toothbrush. Go upstairs, play a game of Dotes, come back down. I hear them talking. I open the door. I say to them, did you brush your teeth? Oh, yeah. I'm like, wait a minute. I saw you both in there holding a toothbrush, looking at the sink and the mirror, and one of you was looking at the toothpaste. What happened between me turning away and you deciding, do you know what, actually, sod this, let's go and do something else? You know I'm going to check up on you, and when I come to brush my teeth and I see, the bristles are bone dry on their toothbrushes, you haven't been brushing your fucking teeth. I was like, go in there now.
The best one is when...
We're doing it! You're not! You're not doing it! I have proof that you're not doing it, because even when you were doing it, you weren't doing it. Don't give me that!
Man, I get stuff set up to move them along a little bit, right? So like normally, like, I'll make their beds, get their rooms ready and stuff, and then I'll put toothpaste on their toothbrushes and put them at the side of the sink, because I know within the next 5-10 minutes or whatever, I'm going to be sending them up to brush their teeth or whatever, so they can just go in there, grab their toothbrush, and they're done, sort of thing. And the same thing. They come upstairs and they're just like chatting. They're doing this, they're doing that. And you're like, have you done your teeth yet? No, not yet. And you're waiting. And then finally, you're just kind of like, okay, whatever. Like they're just going to be done in a minute. Let's go, sort of thing. And then they both like head to their beds or whatever. Everything's done. And they finally go to sleep. I go in the bathroom after, and there's like a one toothbrush with like rock hard toothpaste like stuck to all the bristles because one of them just didn't fucking bother to brush.
Amazing.
You know what I mean?
The thing is, like, while
all
one
you
of
had to do that whole time was that one thing.
One thing. One thing. You can't do that. I mean, we've got electric toothbrush, and you have to swap the bristles on and off. So everyone's got their own bristles, right? You swap yours on. So obviously, while one of them's brushing, the other one has to wait for a full minute.
No,
you can't expect me to wait a minute.
Happy
That's
birthday
ludicrous.
3 times. Like it doesn't take that long. Jeez.
It's just crazy. Yeah. So the other one will give up and go and do something else and then forget. And then the other one, whilst holding the toothbrush, will still somehow decide to go do something else. It drives me mad. It drives me
one thing my daughter
mad.
does though, it's so fucking cute every night. And she asks, I don't know where she gets this from, but my kids ask for permission to do anything. And we're not, it's not like we're strict or anything, but like even like, they're like, oh, can I go for a poo? It's like, well, yeah, go. I mean, like, what are you waiting for? But so like every night my daughter,
well, not here,
we're
obviously.
Like, you know, doing teeth, getting ready to go to bed and stuff. And like usually just before bed, she's like, oh, Dad, can I put out my clothes for tomorrow? It's like, yeah, okay, sure, like go for it. So she like picks out her shirt and her shorts and her socks and stuff, but instead of putting it somewhere sensible, she lays it out on the ground by her bed. Like it looks like somebody just like melted out of the clothes and they fall on the ground. It's fucking hilarious. So like I get so much like comedy value from it. I just leave her do it every night. It's so fucking funny. And then like because I usually lay next to her bed like on the floor, just like I just watch like, you know, YouTube or whatever while she's falling asleep, and then when she's asleep I leave. And like my parting shot every night when I leave, so I look at the floor and I look at the clothes and I almost laugh. It's always funny. I don't know why. It's just like it's just such such a sweet thing. Yeah.
You just imagine that you turned someone to dust, like, with your mind powers.
You like abracadabra.
Ray of
them,
disintegration.
Like, just out of there. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's nice.
I thought you were going to say you just let out a really big fart just as a parting like gift.
I mean, that happens like, sometimes too. But
good night.
Yeah.
There you go. I think that's beautiful.
And adventures in parenting. Am I right?
That's our podcast for today. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
We love you very much, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.